and I'll pay it in cash, and I'll pay it fully. Abraham was not just interested in burying the dead. He wants his own land. And if he refuses to accept it as a gift, because if he accepts it as a gift, when Ephron dies, the descendants or the heirs of Ephron can tell Abraham and his descendants to take out the dead person from the caves. It's like, I'll lend you first the cave. But once I die, you guys have, I don't know if my children or my grandchildren will allow you to continue to use the land. So Abraham said, no, I want to buy it at full price, not discounted. Because if it's discounted, again, when Ephron dies, they can contest it. No, I want it at full price. I ask myself, why all this motion and commotion? Why couldn't Abraham just agree, okay, I'll bury Sarah there? Why not simply accept the offer of the Hittites? There's nothing wrong with that. Or maybe, why not just Abraham go back to Ur and bury Sarah there? Why go through all this hassle? I believe it's because Abraham is making a statement that he's living his life consistent nga to the promises of God. That's why he's going through all these troubles, trying to buy a land to bury his wife. And when he buys this land, he's saying, this is my land. This will be my land. This is the land wherein the nation of Israel will be born. And what better place to have a burial place than this land? Though, at this moment, it's not ours. Again, Abraham was living his life according to the promises of God. That's something that's very hard to do. For all we want is to be rewarded here and now. We want instant gratification. But in Abraham's case, he was not giving up on the hope. He was living up to it. Verse 10 says, Now Ephron was sitting among the sons of Heth. And Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham the hearing of the sons of Heth, even of all who went into the gates of his city, saying, No, my Lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. In the presence of my sons, of my people, I will give it to you. Bury your dead. Ephron replied, it was his own initiative. He did not wait for the leaders of the place to mediate for them. He replied on his own will, without any social pressure, making the claim of Abraham to the property incontestable if it consummates. And it said, he made it among the hearing of all the Hittites. What does that mean? It's a legal contract. It's a proper, legal, and appropriate contract witnessed by many, so that it will be uncontestable. And what did Ephron say? I will give you the field, no problem. I will give you the cave, no problem. In fact, I will give it to you for free. Abraham doesn't want a free cave. He doesn't want a free land. He wants to own the land. Verse 12, And Abraham bowed before the people of the land, and he spoke to Ephron the hearing of the people of the land, saying, It was important for Abraham to say it in front of the hearing of the people. Because this is now a contract that's being negotiated and written out. If you'll only please listen to me, I will give you the price of the field. Name your price. Name your price. I'm willing to pay the price, the full price. Cash in full. Accept it from me that I may bury my dead. Abraham saw the importance of making this agreement public and attested by the witness. So basically, the offer of Ephron to Abraham to have the cave and the land, Abraham said, thanks, but no thanks. But please, allow me to buy the land. So that the land will be mine and my descendants perpetually. Again, at this point, I was asking myself, if I was Abraham, I could be complaining to God, Lord, why am I here? Why am I negotiating this? Why am I having a hard time getting this land? In fact, I'm buying it. I thought you will give it to me for free. I could be questioning God. Lord, you promised me this, but why am I experiencing this? Verse 14. Then Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My Lord, listen to me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between me and you? So you bury your dead. Ephron was saying, okay, do you really insist in buying this land? I mean, I really don't want to sell it. But if you insist, here, 400 shekels of silver. What's that between you and me? Take it or leave it. I ask myself, what kind of an offer is that? Jeremiah paid 17 shekels to buy his cousin's field. David bought the temple. The temple! You know how much? 50 shekels. This guy is asking 400 shekels. That's like 8 temples of God. Ang dami naman nun. It's like saying, oh, okay, here's the price. I'm sure you will not accept. It's 8 times the price of a temple. It's like saying, okay, how much is itong libingan? It's 8 times the price of CCF Main. What? Why would I buy that? It's like that. It's an outrageous price to discourage Abraham to purchase it. Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver which he had named in the hearing of the son of Heth. Ilabas ang scale. Labas mo silver. Take out the scale. Take out the silver. Let's weigh it now. 400 shekels of silver. Commercial standard. Good quality. Fair or not fair, Abraham agreed to the price. He could say, oh Lord, it's too much. I can buy a palace. I'll go back na lang to Ur. Maybe I wanted to research. I never had the time. How much did he get kaya from the Pharaoh? When he left, right? A lot of his wealth came from there. Because 400 shekels of silver is a huge amount. I don't know if he's giving it all away. I never had the time to research on that, but it's a substantial amount. It's 4 times, it's 8 times the price that David paid to buy the temple of God. That's a big amount. Abraham had no intention to beat down the price. I'll pay, he said, 400 silver, call. Parang ano eh. Poker. All in. I make the call. So that what? his claim would be unimpeachable. That his possession of the land will never be questioned. You asked for it, I gave it to you in the presence of everybody. Everybody can now attest, I own the land. Verse 17. So Ephron's field, which is at Machpelah, which faced Mamre, the field and cave which was in it, and all the trees were in the field that were all within the confines of its border were deeded over to Abraham for the possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went in at the city of the gates of his city. Basically, this verse 17 and 18 is basically giving the description of the land. And at the presence, right, of the sons of Heth as the testimony, binding the contract. Verse 19. After this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah, facing Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. So the field and the cave that is in it were deeded over to Abraham for the burial site by the sons of Seth. Again, what makes this story impressive to me is that Abraham did not just turn back to his homeland. It is easy for us to be faithful to God for a day, for a week, for a month, for a year, for a decade. But it's a totally different story to be faithful to God to the very end, even if the end looks bleak. That's a hard thing. Abraham is at the end of his life and he still remains faithful to God, and he still is willing to give even his material possession, betting his security of the future, giving 400 silvers of shekels to Ephron, in line to the promise of God, that God will fulfill his promise to him and his descendants when he dies. That's my question. Are we willing to be obedient to God if all the rewards that He will give us is only when we die? Are we willing to stake it all? Sabi nga, genuine faith is trusting in God in your plans, and if God does not pull through, all hell breaks loose. Because you don't have a second option. You don't have a third option. Your only option is God, that He will fulfill His end of the bargain. Some of us are willing to put the hard work for the reward that we will get, for the benefit that we will receive, for the compensation that we will get at the prescribed time. But it's a totally different ball game when reality hits you that there might not be a reward for the sacrifices you give to God in this lifetime. Question, is that okay? Is that okay with you? Are you fine with that? Have you resolved in your heart that, Lord, that's fine. It's fine that you don't reward me in this life. I will still remain faithful to you. Hebrews 11 verse 13 to 16 says, and this is referring to Abraham, all this died in faith without receiving the promises. Abraham died without receiving the promises. But having seen them and having welcomed them from a distance, and having confessed that they are strangers and exiles on this earth. For those who say such things makes it clear that they are seeking a country of their own. And indeed, if they had been thinking of that country from which they went out, they would have the opportunity to return.